So we got a smaller group, so we can do a Q&A and stuff, but for the last 4 or 5, I mean, they wanted to know a little bit more about me, I guess. So either way, whatever you guys want to do.
Start with the question we've been asking all the candidates, just for consistency so we can compare.
Sure.
Is it okay with you? Okay.
It's okay with you, not? Yeah.
So, Saif, thanks for running again. I know you ran 2 years ago. And,
Oh yeah, by the way, this is my, I'm a pro now.
I do really have a lot of respect for people who run the second time. Because first time, maybe you don't know what you're doing into, but second time you run.
Yeah, you find out, okay.
And that's what, knowing you stepping in, I ran 4 years ago, I don't want to run anymore. I'll never.
So you see, one of the reasons sitting right here, 2 of them are at actually in their games and stuff, younger than him. So that's the reason that, you know, because last one is a first grader. So I'm not going anywhere for the next 12 years or so.
So the question we have is, there is an achievement gap between the various schools in Howard County.
Right.
What is your plan to make sure that all the schools start performing at the same high level?
So let me ask you, or let me put this: you think it's the lack of resources that's creating some of these issues? Do you agree with me on that?
That could be one of the reasons.
Some of it's okay. So we can take care of some of that with, you know, some of the needs that various different type of needs that these different schools may have. My take on that, and the reason I'm running, and the strengths that I bring, is budgeting aspect. For the last 30 years or so, I've been working in various different organizations, agencies, where I've done a lot of different positions. I've learned procurement, I've learned leadership, I've learned budgeting and stuff. And I think that if we can manage our budgets well that we have currently, if we can create some more resources to some more venues to get some more resources, instead of relying on only one type of resource for all our needs, which is the county funding, then we can take care of a lot of different needs, including this. What I mean by that is, right now we get X amount of budget from the county, and this is the only thing that we kind of have right now to meet whatever needs that we have, which keeps growing on a yearly basis. My take on that is not only that we are not managing the budgets well, but we do not have the visionary leadership approach at the board level to go after partnerships, to go after various different resources that are available in, you know, community based or business based or whatever else may be the case. Because we're never going to be able to meet all the needs unless you're okay with opening up your pockets and every single time we have a new need, get a new tax with it. If you're fine with that because that's the type of leadership that we have right now, that is thinking that that's the only approach to fulfill all the different needs. So to answer your question, you know, we can, if once we have identified all the different needs, if we are managing the budget right, we can provide the different type of resources that are needed. May it be more teachers, may it be more para educators, may it be, you know, facilities, may it be whatever the case may be. But everything comes down to managing what you have and then creating opportunities. You know, if you have a specific, let's say, a building need or so, or gym need or so, can we partner with somebody in some ways or something to, you know, fulfill that need? Like, for example, I was thinking...
So you're talking about bringing in more revenue with partnerships?
So right now, our county is the only county that's growing the fastest, not only in regular students, that we keep adding 1,000 or so, but in IEP students. We are adding 7%, compared to the next fastest is 2%. Majority of them are going in the negative, because we are the one that's getting those.
Because we have
So those kids have a much bigger need as far as resources concerned. My thing is, we're never going to be able to meet with what we get in revenue, right? So why not think out of the box? What about like Kennedy Kruger's or John Hopkins or whatever the case may be? Get some kind of a partnership. We started just because of one of the community member over here for the vision, that we are starting to do vision screening for all the kids in, and that was a community member. why can't we do something similar with the organization where education. So HCPSS is in the business of educating. We're not in the business of healthcare. We're never going to have the right resources to diagnose the different needs that our kids are going to have at IEP, which in turn means we're never going to provide them the right resources that are needed for that. So why not do some kind of a partnership where we do those kind of diagnoses and maybe a support as well at the same time, and maybe able to save on, share the costs or whatever the case may be. So start thinking out of the box kind of a way of doing things, because like I said, unless we're okay with opening our pocket, we're never going to be able to catch up with our ever-growing needs. So that's where I come with the leadership, visionary leadership, out-of-the-box thinking that for the last 30 years, that's what I've been doing, because I have managed budgets over $2 billion. I have managed people, more than 40,000 people, with the help of, about 45 or so managers in organizations, in agencies. So not only I have managed the budget that I have on the operational side, but then I have worked with the companies which were public companies, where every quarter you had to report to the shareholder your value, create, continue. So you start thinking of different ways of different streams, how to best utilize, how to best bring additional income, business, whatever the case may be. So you got to have both kind of thinking in this county that we have right now. Otherwise, if you are going to be a passive rubber stamper kind of a board member, guess what? Every single year we're going to continue on going through this kind of a headache that we are currently experiencing, that we experience with the redistricting, because that's the other thing.
I was going to ask you, what are your like top 3 things that you think that you
So
would tackle?
Keeping communities together, meaning if we ever have to go redistrict again, which we have to, like she said, we are going to be opening schools. My take on that, I moved over here and you moved over here because of the schools, because of your kids. So from the very first year of your kindergarten to the last year of high school, you should know exactly where your kid's going to end up based on a feeder system or some kind of a formula where even if I move, it's going to be X or Y. It's not going to be one A, B, C, D. That's where I'm going to end up. So that's the number one priority. Budgeting is number 2. I think I bring the skill set with the 30 years of full experience in various different formats that I can help. And then transparency and accountability is the other thing that you keep hearing every single election. Go to YouTube, search on Howard County Board of Education candidates. 20 years ago, you will hear the same exact thing that you're hearing from me. And you heard from the previous 2018, 16, 14, whatever, even from him. And we never get to that point because we lack the leadership at the board level. They come to the board. You saw with the Foos, you've seen with him as well, where your only employee becomes your CEO and starts directing you as a board instead of the board, taking the directions from the superintendent. So, yep, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.